The stars of the Soren cluster glimmered like scattered jewels in the endless blackness of space. For centuries, the various alien civilizations in this part of the galaxy had lived in balance, guided by the decisions of the Galactic Council. Each species had its strengths. Some were brilliant scientists, others mighty warriors, and some held power over energy or matter itself. Yet none had ever seen anything like the humans who were about to arrive. The first human colony ship, Odyssey, emerged from the hyperspace tunnel with a quiet hum. Its hull gleamed with a metallic sheen, but there was something in its design that was unusual. It was not intimidating, nor overly technological by alien standards. It was practical, efficient, and elegant. On board were thousands of humans, each one a mix of curiosity and determination, unaware of how closely the galaxy would watch them. As the Odyssey approached the Soren cluster, the aliens observed from their observation stations, floating silently around their homeworlds and moons. The Soren Council, composed of representatives from 10 powerful species, had convened to discuss this unprecedented arrival. Some members were excited. They had heard stories from neighboring clusters about humanity's abilities. Others were cautious. They did not know what to expect from a species so adaptable, so strange, yet oddly unassuming. The humans' first action surprised everyone. Rather than landing and claiming territory or making demands, they sent small scout teams to help repair damaged planetary systems. A planet called Havora, long devastated by a series of earthquakes and storms, saw its ruined cities rebuilt in mere weeks. Alien engineers had tried for decades to restore Havora, yet the humans succeeded where they failed. One alien observer, a Soren engineer named Thalrix, recorded his amazement. They work together in ways that are harmonious. Their coordination is unlike any species I have studied. Each individual seems to understand the purpose of the whole. The humans moved with quiet precision. Machines hummed, materials reformed, and plants that had been nearly extinct flourished once again. Every action seemed purposeful but gentle, as if they were shaping the world without forcing it. To the aliens watching, it was a miracle. But there was more to humanity than just skill. They asked questions that unsettled the council. They wanted to understand the limits of alien technology, not to steal it, but to improve their own methods. They inquired about energy fields that could move planets, about defensive systems that could stop entire fleets, about the patterns of life and thought across different species. One council member, Zyra of the Sendari, whispered to her neighbor, "They ask as if they already know the answers, as if they can imagine things we cannot even conceive." Her words reflected a subtle unease. Despite this, the humans remained polite and composed. They smiled, nodded, and addressed the council with respect. In their interactions, they often helped resolve disputes among smaller civilizations. Where conflicts had lasted centuries, humans found solutions in days. To the galaxy, they appeared almost saintly. The humans' ability to work together was extraordinary. Even when disagreements arose among themselves, they resolved them quickly, using debate, compromise, and reasoning rather than violence. The aliens could not help but compare this to their own species, where conflicts often turned into wars lasting generations. Soon, the Galactic Council invited the humans to participate in discussions about interstellar projects. They suggested joint ventures, repairing dying stars, stabilizing unstable planets, and creating shared research facilities. The humans accepted politely, with a calm assurance that impressed even the most skeptical council members. Yet some aliens began to notice strange patterns. In simulations of potential threats, humans seemed to anticipate dangers before they happened. When a rogue asteroid approached a populated planet, a human engineer suggested a plan to divert it, and it worked perfectly. When pirates attacked a remote trade route, humans calculated their movements and intercepted them without a single casualty, neither human nor alien. The aliens marveled at their effectiveness. They had never seen a species so gentle yet so capable. It was not strength alone that made the humans special. It was intelligence combined with intuition, kindness, and a calm determination. Still, some whispers spread among the council. "There is something more beneath their smiles," said Thalrix. "They are too calm, too perfect." Perfection is dangerous. The humans themselves did not try to hide anything. They celebrated the galaxy's diversity, shared stories of their own homeworld, and expressed gratitude for being allowed into this vast community. They were curious, friendly, and constantly learning. Aliens could not help but feel warmth toward them. A young human diplomat, Ilara, visited the council chambers and spoke for the first time. Her voice was calm and steady, yet carried authority beyond her years. We are here to learn and to help, but we also hope to share what we have learned on our journey. Together we can solve problems that no one species could face alone. The aliens were impressed. Some even felt inspired, imagining a galaxy where peace and cooperation could become the norm. Humans were the embodiment of hope, of progress, and of gentle power. But the human's true nature was hidden behind this facade of kindness. They observed the galaxy carefully, noting strengths and weaknesses alike. They did not intervene unless necessary, but they always understood the consequences of every action. To an alien watching closely, it seemed as if humans could see the future, or at least all possible outcomes of a situation. The first week passed quietly. Humans repaired habitats, shared knowledge, and earned the trust of the local populations. Small acts of kindness, a human helping a fallen alien child, a human doctor curing a rare illness, engineers teaching new techniques, spread quickly across communication networks. The galaxy began calling them gentle giants. Then came the first real test. A natural disaster struck Viralia, a planet known for its delicate ecosystems. A massive storm system, bigger than anything recorded, threatened to wipe out entire cities. The aliens watched anxiously, fearing immense loss of life. The humans acted without hesitation. They built protective domes, redirected energy flows to stabilize the environment, and coordinated rescue efforts across the planet. Within days, the storm passed, leaving minimal casualties. Where damage had occurred, humans immediately began reconstruction, working alongside local alien workers to restore the land. The aliens were stunned. No one species had ever managed such a feat. The humans were efficient, precise, and tireless, yet they never demanded recognition or reward. Their actions were not driven by ambition or desire for power. They were simply what humans considered right. Thalrix wrote in his report, "I do not understand them. They are gentle yet relentless. They are peaceful yet unstoppable. They act like protectors, but there is a force in them that cannot be ignored. I feel awe and fear." Even as humans helped, they quietly learned. Every planet, every system, every conflict became a lesson. Humans were observers as much as helpers, and though they seemed harmless, the subtle impression they left on alien minds was unsettling. The part ends with the Galactic Council formally inviting humans to join the Galactic Assembly, a seat of power that governed interstellar relations. The humans accept politely, expressing gratitude for the trust placed in them. The aliens celebrate, believing they have welcomed heroes into their midst. But deep in the council chambers, some whisper quietly, they are more than what they appear. Something lies beneath their gentle smiles. We do not yet know the full extent of their power. The Odyssey rests in orbit, its humans looking out at the galaxy with curiosity and quiet purpose. To the universe, they are helpers, saviors, and friends. Yet the first steps of a far greater story have begun, one that will reveal both the wonders and the hidden strength of humanity. The galaxy had seen only the surface of humanity's gentle nature. It had no idea that beneath those smiles, humans carried the mind of predators, the courage of warriors, and the patience of strategists. One day the galaxy would understand the full truth. For now, humans were gentle, and the galaxy believed they were harmless. The humans settled into the Soren cluster with remarkable ease. Their colonies spread across planets of all sizes, climates, and dangers. On each world, humans quickly adapted to local conditions, building homes that blended with the environment, cultivating food that suited both themselves and local species, and creating technology that improved daily life without harming the ecosystems. Alien observers could not stop staring. Humans were everywhere at once, it seemed. On the frozen moon of Kirath, they established research stations that survived the blizzards. On the desert planet of Melora, they grew forests that had long been extinct. And on the gas giant Tyrion, they created floating laboratories that thrived in conditions deadly to most life forms. They learn, adapt, and innovate faster than any species we know, said Venner, a Sindari scientist. And they do it all without forcing the universe to obey them. It is elegant. The galaxy began to call them gentle giants again, across the stars. Tales spread of humans solving problems no alien civilization could solve in decades. Conflicts between neighboring species were mediated by human diplomats. Star systems threatened by environmental collapse were stabilized. Threats from rogue asteroids or unstable suns were neutralized. Everywhere humans went, they left not only safety and restoration but also a sense of awe. But humans were not content to merely help. They observed the galaxy carefully, learning the strengths and weaknesses of every species they encountered. Where an alien might act based on pride, anger, or instinct, humans acted based on reasoning, foresight, and strategy. Even when they appeared playful or casual, there was a method behind every gesture, a calculation behind every smile. One particularly busy day, a fleet of humans arrived at Draven Prime, a planet that had been under a decades-long territorial dispute between two powerful alien species, the Sindari and the Ravari. Both sides had tried countless methods of negotiation, but old grudges and miscalculations always reignited conflict. The humans landed in a small, neutral zone, not claiming any land for themselves. Their leader, Commander Kale, called representatives from both sides to a simple meeting hall, a circular structure of transparent material that reflected the sky above. There were no guards, no displays of power, only humans standing with calm expressions listening. At first, the aliens were suspicious. "Why are they here?" whispered a Ravari ambassador. "They have no stake in this. They could be spies or worse." Kyle spoke first, his voice gentle but firm. "We are here because your conflict affects more than just your planets. There is suffering on both sides. Our goal is to help you see the choices that are possible, not to dictate which you must take." For hours, humans mediated, asking questions that forced each alien to think differently. They highlighted solutions that had never occurred to the participants. Slowly, the tone of discussion changed. Hostility faded into consideration and grudges softened into compromise. By nightfall, a preliminary agreement had been reached, and the Council on Draven Prime marveled at the humans' ability to manage something that had seemed impossible for generations. Yet, even as the aliens celebrated, a subtle unease grew. Some began to notice a pattern. Humans never seemed rushed. They never panicked. Even when simulations showed disastrous outcomes, humans remained calm, confident, and effective. Aliens who relied on speed or raw power to solve problems began to wonder whether humans were too calculated, too composed, too clever. The whispers of caution spread quietly. "They are gentle," said Thalrix, the Soren engineer who had observed humanity for months. "But there is something in their minds we cannot predict. They think differently, and they act differently. That is not weakness, it is power." Humans were not only changing perceptions, they were changing reality. On Havora, a planet previously ravaged by natural disasters, humans had built a network of protective energy shields powered by local magnetic fields. Storms that once destroyed cities now passed harmlessly overhead. On Melora, forests planted by humans restored local wildlife populations faster than natural cycles could have allowed. Everywhere they went, humans created stability and harmony, yet always with subtle evidence of extraordinary control. Even small acts revealed their uncanny abilities. A human engineer working alongside a Draven Prime technician repaired a collapsed bridge in hours, predicting exactly which sections would fail next. A human doctor treating an alien disease seemed to know the cure before even testing it, guiding assistants to adjust chemicals and energies in precise measures. The aliens' admiration was growing, but so was a creeping sense of fear. Humans were too effective, too observant, and too calm. They seemed harmless on the surface, but the galaxy slowly began to realize that their gentleness was paired with something far more potent. Then came the first subtle display of their hidden strength. On Kirith, a species called the Flarians attempted a raid on a human outpost to steal rare resources. The humans did not panic. Instead, they analyzed the situation, predicted the Flarians' movements, and acted decisively. Within hours, the attackers were surrounded, their technology disabled and their leadership captured. Not a single human was harmed. Not a single Flarian was killed. Observers were stunned. "They could have destroyed the Flarians," said Venar. Yet they chose not to. And still, no one could have stopped them if they had decided otherwise. Stories like this spread quickly across the cluster. Humans were seen as both protectors and unparalleled strategists. They were polite, composed, and helpful. But the galaxy began to understand that the humans' power was unlike anything else. Their ability to protect, to predict, and to act with precision left a subtle, unsettling impression on every species that watched them. As humans continued their work, they began building a network of communication and research hubs across the cluster. These hubs were small, almost invisible yet highly efficient. Each hub not only provided aid in research but also allowed humans to monitor patterns across the galaxy, environmental, political, and social. They were observers, learners, and helpers, but also silent strategists. One evening, the Council of Soren convened in secret. "They are wonderful," said Zira, a Sendari diplomat. "They bring peace, health, and knowledge. Yet I cannot shake the feeling that they are too perfect. That perfection can hide danger." Thalrix nodded. "They are not dangerous in the ways we usually fear. They do not seek war, conquest, or domination. But they act with a precision and foresight we cannot match. Their gentleness is a mask. I believe they could be unstoppable if they chose to be." Despite these quiet warnings, the galaxy continued to trust humans. Their successes were undeniable. Conflicts were resolved, disasters prevented, and civilizations inspired. Humans brought hope where despair had ruled for centuries. Even their social interactions were remarkable. Aliens who feared humans at first found themselves laughing at human humor, moved by human compassion, and inspired by their optimism. Humans were not arrogant or boastful. They celebrated cooperation, learning, and shared accomplishments. Yet behind every gentle action, humans were learning. They watched alien societies, understood their weaknesses, and stored knowledge without judgment. Every system, every culture, and every technological advancement was catalogued, studied, and understood. They were explorers in the deepest sense, not just of space but of understanding life itself. By the end of the first year, the galaxy had come to rely on humans more than any other species. They were called upon in crises, consulted in disputes, and admired for their accomplishments. Across the stars, the phrase "gentle giants" was repeated with awe and reverence, but beneath the admiration, whispers of unease persisted. Humans were brilliant, powerful, and calm beyond comprehension. Their gentleness was undeniable. But the galaxy slowly realized that humans could also be terrifying if provoked. The seeds of awe were growing, and with them the seeds of fear. And so, as humans looked out at the stars from their growing network of colonies, the galaxy watched them in wonder, and began to wonder in return. Who were these creatures who could create miracles without asking for reward, predict outcomes without error, and act with both kindness and quiet dominance? The galaxy did not yet fully understand, but it would. For now, humans were gentle, helpful, and seemingly harmless. They smiled, assisted, and inspired. Yet somewhere beneath those smiles, the universe would one day see the truth. Humans were monsters wrapped in gentleness, a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The galaxy had begun to trust humans, even admire them, calling them gentle giants. Yet whispers of unease lingered. Something about humans was different. They were polite, helpful, and compassionate. But there was a quiet force in their presence that no alien could fully explain. It began on the frontier world of Lyrith Prime, a planet rich in resources but prone to conflict. A rogue empire, the Kreller Dominion, attempted a sudden invasion. Their ships cut across Lyrith's orbit with deadly intent, weapons charged and ready to strike. The local defense forces scrambled, but their efforts were insufficient. Panic spread and the planet's population faced imminent destruction. The humans, who had been assisting the planet's development, moved with calm precision. Commander Kale, stationed at the main human command hub, did not shout orders or panic. Instead, he reviewed the situation, analyzing the Dominion fleet's strengths, weaknesses, and patterns of attack. His team worked alongside him, humans coordinating seamlessly with alien forces, yet never appearing frantic or rushed. "Divert the planetary shields to absorb kinetic energy at points Alpha and Gamma," Kale instructed. His voice was calm, confident, and steady. "Deploy drones to simulate fleet reinforcements from orbit. Anticipate their maneuvers and adjust accordingly." Alien officers watching from their observation stations were stunned. "They are not just defending," said one. "They are predicting the enemy's every move. It is as if they know what the attackers will do before they do it." The Kreller fleet moved aggressively, confident in their numbers and weaponry. Yet every attempt to strike humans' positions failed. Drones intercepted attacks without harming the aggressors. Human engineers disabled weapons with precise energy pulses that left the ships intact, but powerless. The Kreller commanders were forced into confusion. Every strategy they devised was countered, anticipated, and neutralized. To the alien observers, it was mesmerizing. The humans did not kill. They did not destroy. Yet they were in complete control. One could almost call it artistry, a terrifying, perfect orchestration of defense that left attackers helpless while preserving life. On the planet below, humans worked alongside locals to protect civilians. Evacuations proceeded efficiently. Hospitals operated at full capacity. Systems that had been damaged were repaired, even as the invasion continued. To the humans, it was simply what had to be done. To the aliens, it was extraordinary. A young Sendari officer whispered, "They are calm while the world falls apart. They are saving everyone, yet no one can challenge them. I do not think I have ever seen a species act like this." Indeed, this event marked a turning point. The galaxy began to see humans differently, not only as helpers or problem solvers, but as a force unlike any other. Gentle, yes, but unstoppable when they chose to act. After the Kreller fleet was neutralized, humans convened a peaceful resolution. The Dominion's leaders were captured, not harmed, and presented with evidence of the destruction they had caused and the lives they had endangered. Human diplomats spoke to them in measured tones, outlining consequences and options for reparations. The Kreller commanders left with no illusions. Humans had been gentle, but their mastery of strategy, foresight, and control was absolute. One observer summarized, "They are not merciful because they are weak. They are merciful because they are stronger than anyone can imagine." News of the event spread across the Soren cluster and beyond. Stories of beautiful terror circulated. Witnesses described humans smiling while they managed crises, neutralizing threats and protecting life without resorting to unnecessary force. The phrase "monsters wearing gentle" began to appear quietly in reports, whispered by those who had observed too closely. Even within the Galactic Council, debates ignited. Some members praised humanity for their skill and compassion. Others, however, expressed concern. "They do not act like us," said Zira, a seasoned diplomat. "They do not rush. They do not panic. They are calculating, efficient, and always a step ahead. I have seen humans in action, and I am afraid, not of what they are now, but of what they could be." Thalrix, the engineer who had been studying humans for months, added, "They could destroy entire fleets if they wished. Yet they do not. Their morality allows them to be gentle, but it also makes them terrifyingly capable. We have underestimated them for too long." Meanwhile, humans continued their work across the cluster. They were repairing damaged worlds, building colonies, and facilitating trade and cooperation among species who had long been enemies. Every act of kindness, every technical achievement, every diplomatic success made the galaxy trust humans more. And yet, with each success, the whispers of fear grew. Even as humans smiled and laughed with aliens, plotting the next scientific breakthrough or engineering project, those who observed closely could see the underlying power. Humans were not just problem solvers, they were strategists, warriors, and thinkers of unparalleled skill. Their gentleness was a conscious choice, not a limitation. In one remote sector, a group of explorers watched humans terraform a planet with hostile terrain. Enormous machines moved with delicate precision, adjusting temperature, atmosphere, and water distribution. Forests grew where deserts had ruled. Rivers formed where dry valleys had stretched for centuries. All of this was done quietly, efficiently, and without harm to the planet's native life. One alien scientist remarked, "They are creating life and order where none existed, yet they could have destroyed it if they chose." There is a discipline in their actions that borders on predatory, and yet they are smiling. The phrase "gentle monsters" began to circulate in hushed tones among the galaxy's learned and observant. It was not meant as an insult, but as a description of a paradox. Humans were gentle in every visible action, yet their intellect, foresight, and mastery of strategy were monstrous compared to anything else in the galaxy. The turning point came when humans intervened in a political crisis on Virelia, a planet whose leaders were on the brink of civil war. Two rival factions had mobilized armies and threatened annihilation. Humans arrived not as combatants but as mediators, They assessed the situation, understood the factions' motivations, and presented solutions that were both equitable and enforceable. The factions, initially distrustful, found themselves following the humans' guidance. They could not act against them. Even when small rebellions arose, humans dealt with them efficiently, not through slaughter, but through containment, negotiation, and demonstration of foresight that no alien could match. The outcome was remarkable. War was avoided. Both sides preserved their honor, and the planet's infrastructure remained intact. Human diplomacy had succeeded where centuries of negotiation had failed. And yet, the subtle demonstration of power left a lasting impression. Varelia's leaders understood that humans were not only compassionate, they were unstoppable if necessary. That night, as the humans celebrated with the locals, Thalrix wrote in his private journal, "I have seen humans in action today. They smiled while preventing war. They spoke gently while controlling outcomes no other species could. They could destroy us all if they wished, and yet they choose not to. The galaxy is in awe, but we are beginning to understand that awe carries fear. Humans are not just gentle. They are monsters wearing gentle." The phrase resonated across communication networks quietly but powerfully. Across the cluster, species began to reconsider humanity's role. Humans were not conquerors, yet the potential for control they held was undeniable. Every action they took, every act of kindness, every scientific breakthrough, every tactical success, carried an implicit warning. Underestimate humans at your peril. Even the humans themselves seemed unaware of the growing tension. They continued their work, exploring, building, and helping. They were polite, friendly, and kind. They laughed, shared stories, and celebrated discoveries. They acted as if the galaxy were safe and fair, and that their role was to protect it. Yet beneath the smiles, their minds worked tirelessly. Humans studied patterns, understood relationships, and calculated probabilities. They did not act out of malice or ambition, but they were always aware of power, of consequence, and of the potential for threat. Every smile, every gesture was paired with insight, foresight, and careful choice. By the end of the year, the galaxy had witnessed humans' true capabilities. They were gentle in their dealings, compassionate in their interactions, and merciful in their interventions. But the quiet, unmistakable truth was known to those who had observed closely. Humans were monsters wearing gentle. They carried intelligence, strategy, and power far beyond any other species. The galaxy admired them. It trusted them. It celebrated them. But somewhere deep inside, a growing unease lingered. Aliens had begun to understand that humans were not just helpers, they were forces beyond reckoning. And if the day ever came when humans chose to act without restraint, no species could stand against them. And yet, as humans gazed at the stars from their colonies and research stations, they continued to smile, work, and explore. The galaxy saw only their kindness, their help, and their smiles. It had not yet seen the full depth of their strength. The gentle monsters were real, and the galaxy had only just begun to notice. The Galactic Council had watched humans with admiration, and with a growing, uneasy fear. They had seen humans solve crises, neutralize threats, and mediate conflicts across the Soren cluster with unmatched skill. Yet every success, every act of kindness carried with it a quiet, unmistakable demonstration of power. In a hidden chamber on the Council's central station, the representatives met in urgency. Zyra, the Sindari diplomat, opened the discussion. "We have seen humans act as saviors, as heroes. They are polite, gentle, and compassionate, yet they operate in ways no species can predict. Their efficiency, their foresight, and their control are beyond anything we know." Thalrix, the Soren engineer who had observed humans from the beginning, nodded. "It is not malevolence that frightens me. They are merciful, kind, and cooperative, but they are also capable of absolute mastery over any challenge. If they wished, they could destroy fleets, dominate planets, or reshape worlds in ways we cannot stop. Their gentleness is chosen, not imposed. That is what makes them terrifying." The council debated silently for hours. Some argued that humans were a blessing, a species that could stabilize the galaxy and bring peace where no one else could. Others argued that humans were unpredictable and too powerful to ignore. To test their capabilities, the council devised a plan. They staged controlled crises, sabotaged planets, simulated invasions, and moral dilemmas designed to provoke humans. The council's goal was not to harm them, but to observe how humans responded when confronted with danger and uncertainty. The first test took place on Virelia II, a small industrial world. Human engineers were sent to repair a failing energy grid, only to find it rigged to explode by an unseen saboteur. The humans quickly assessed the situation. Without panic, they devised a plan that neutralized the sabotage, restored the grid, and ensured no civilians were harmed. The aliens monitoring the test were awed. They could have triggered a disaster, said a Rivari scientist, yet they prevented it, all while maintaining calm and precision. It is almost impossible to comprehend. Next, the Council orchestrated a simulated fleet attack on Kyrith Outpost. Human commanders coordinated defenses flawlessly, disabling attacking ships without destruction, predicting every move of the simulated fleet. Aliens had expected chaos, fear, or improvisation. Instead, humans acted as though the attack had been anticipated from the start. The final test was perhaps the most revealing. A moral dilemma was staged. A planet on the verge of civil war was left with a single human settlement amidst potential conflict. The humans arrived, assessed the factions, and presented a solution that preserved both sides' honor while preventing violence entirely. The alien observers were left speechless. Humans had solved a centuries-old problem without force, without favoritism, and without error. After the tests, the Council convened in private. They could no longer ignore the truth. Humans were not merely capable, they were exceptional beyond any species' understanding. Zira spoke quietly. They are merciful, yes, but they have shown that they could enforce consequences on anyone, anywhere at any time. They are unstoppable if they choose. Thalrix added, their gentleness is not weakness. It is choice. They could act as monsters at will, but they restrain themselves because they are morally guided. We have not seen their limits, but the potential is absolute. We must observe them carefully. Meanwhile, humans continued their work across the galaxy. They assisted in rebuilding war-torn worlds, mediated disputes, and helped species who had long lived in fear. Every action seemed calm, measured, and compassionate. Yet the Council's tests had confirmed a chilling truth. Humanity's kindness was paired with unmatched capability. The humans themselves remained unaware of the Council's deliberations. To them, they were simply helping, exploring, and learning. They smiled, shared knowledge, and forged friendships across species. But subtle signs of their hidden strength were evident to those who watched closely. When pirates attempted to attack a supply convoy, humans intervened. They neutralized the threat without destruction. When a rogue planet threatened to collide with inhabited worlds, humans calculated a solution, stabilizing its orbit with minimal energy and no casualties. Everywhere they acted, humans demonstrated mastery and mercy simultaneously. Reports began circulating quietly among the galaxy's leaders. Humans are gentle, the reports read, yet they are monsters wearing calm. We admire them, but we fear them too. And so, the galaxy entered a new age of understanding. Humans were not simply heroes. They were a species whose power was paired with morality, whose foresight was paired with gentleness. They could be the saviors of the galaxy, or if ever provoked, its most formidable force. The Council resolved to continue observation, ensuring humans were neither underestimated nor threatened. But the seeds of awe and fear had been firmly planted. The galaxy had begun to grasp the reality of human nature. They were gentle monsters, brilliant, unpredictable, and unstoppable in their way. Months passed. Humans had grown from newcomers into indispensable figures across the Soren cluster. Their colonies flourished. Their diplomacy prevented wars. Their science stabilized dying worlds. And yet, for all their kindness and helpfulness, the galaxy's leaders watched cautiously. The first true test came not from simulation, but from an actual threat. The Kreller Dominion, regrouped and emboldened by previous failures, launched a massive assault on the outer colonies. Entire fleets converged on human settlements, intending to take control and demonstrate power. The humans did not panic. They coordinated defenses, analyzed the enemy fleet, and deployed countermeasures. In hours, the invaders were immobilized. Their weapons were disarmed, their ships captured, and their commanders held without harm. The aliens watching could not comprehend the efficiency and precision with which humans had acted. It was then that whispers across the galaxy began to spread. Humans were no longer merely helpers. They were unmatched strategists, guardians and forces beyond calculation. On the planet of Melora, A political crisis erupted among native species. Humans arrived, mediating peacefully, resolving disputes and ensuring no lives were lost. Their strategy was flawless. Both sides followed their guidance because every solution humans offered preserved honor, minimized loss, and demonstrated consequences clearly. Alien leaders began to speak openly of humanity. "They are merciful yet unchallengeable," said one. "They are polite, yet they enforce order where no other species can. We admire them, yet we fear them." Across communication networks, stories of human intervention spread. On Kirath, humans had stabilized an unstable star system, preventing the destruction of hundreds of colonies. On Varelia, humans resolved a civil war before it could escalate, preserving thousands of lives. On remote trade routes, human convoys ensured peace, protecting vulnerable species from pirate fleets with minimal effort. The galaxy understood, finally, the full paradox. Humans were gentle, yet monstrous. Their morality restrained them, yet their intelligence and strategy made them unstoppable. Their compassion was real, yet their capability was absolute. The Galactic Council, once uncertain, now formally acknowledged the truth. Humans were invited not only to the assembly, but given authority to mediate, protect, and guide the galaxy. They accepted humbly, continuing their work without arrogance, without showing superiority, and without taking unnecessary control. For the first time in history, the galaxy realized that power could coexist with mercy. Humans had demonstrated that strength did not require domination, that intelligence did not require cruelty, that mastery did not require fear. They were the embodiment of a principle few species had understood. True power comes with responsibility, compassion, and wisdom. As humans gazed at the stars, they smiled, shared stories, and continued to explore. To the galaxy, they were still gentle, yet every observer knew the truth. Humanity had redefined what it meant to be powerful. They were gentle monsters, protectors, strategists, and unstoppable forces of nature. In quiet moments, leaders from other species would speak in hushed tones. "We are not the strongest. Humans are, and they do not need to show it." The final image of the galaxy was clear. Humans standing among the stars, smiling, helping, and observing. Beneath those smiles lay intelligence, foresight, and an unstoppable capability that no species could rival. The day had come when the galaxy understood. Humans were monsters wearing gentle, yet unlike other monsters, they chose to protect, to help, and to guide. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would shape its future forever. Power paired with morality could change the universe. And humanity, calm and composed, continued their journey, unaware that their reputation, gentle yet terrifyingly capable, would define an era of peace, awe, and quiet fear for generations to come.